Warning: the following podcast contains violent scenes that may be unsettling to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
The post-Civil War landscape of the American West offers escape and opportunities to many new immigrants who come to the country's shore. A few of them brave the journey to the camp town of Missouri Crossing, each looking for a new lease on life in the Dakota Territories. Join the settlers of Missouri Crossing, including Gregory Smith, played by Joaquin, Sister Margaret Miller, played by Monica, Bjorn Hagman, played by Chris, and Craig as the keeper of arcane lore, as we explore the horrors that await us on Down Darker Trails. So Margaret, after triaging the working girl Lavender, what is your plan? Did you want to head back quickly to put together some sort of concoction, or was there something else that you wanted to do in the meantime?
Right now, the girl is her number one priority. So seeing that she's in need, she kind of puts her plan to keep searching or, questioning about this mysterious book. And she figures if someone's going to tell her and someone's going to know, it's probably going to be Lavender. So she's going to have plenty of time to talk to her when she's examining her and treating her. So for now, her plan is to head back to her tent, look through her supplies, and start putting together ingredients so she can make a nice salve for her.
Okay, so the journey back is uneventful. You have a garden and some stuff that you brought with and some other stuff that you've collected, and you feel like you could put together a pretty good salve that will help fight infection and at least keep dirt out of it and maybe even cover up some of the marks until it can heal a little bit better. You understand that her missing work for such an injury is probably not something she's interested in doing. So you work, it doesn't take the whole night, but it does take you a couple hours, and you're able to get a few hours of sleep in too, if you would like.
Margaret would definitely like to sleep.
Yeah. And, despite your best efforts, you still have trouble getting up with the sun. Could I actually have a power roll to see if you're able to do it?
Apparently not, because I got a 91 out of 60.
So it's not a botch, but you kind of wake up and it's like there's something you were supposed to be doing today, but that was very nice.
That's very on brand with Margaret. Every time she tells herself, tomorrow's the day I get up early and I do things, it literally never happens. It just isn't in her nature. So she wakes up, she's kind of in that comfortable daze, the chilly night air has got her all nice and cozy. And she wakes up and she sees the sun is out, and she's thinking to herself, there was something I had to do, something for the church, something. And then it all hits her, the snowball of events that should have happened by now. She should have gotten early, should have, gotten the church ready for people, should have helped, get ingredients for breakfast so that she could skip out on making breakfast, so that she could take care of Lavender. And now she's completely disoriented, doesn't know what time it is, doesn't know when Lavender's coming by, or if even she's come by and left because she was asleep. So she's a little bit in a tizzy right now.
In Margaret's mind, what is the thing that she can let slide in order to accomplish the other things? What is she willing to just drop?
She'll definitely sacrifice her hygiene, which other people won't be happy about. But, this is something that for her is kind of, she's known for this. Okay. She'll make up time by neglecting herself. So she'll skip, any sort of hygiene ritual in the morning. She'll get herself dressed in a hurry. So maybe her hair isn't fully covered by her habit. She'll forget her rosary, next to her, her little bed on the floor. She's just trying to race out the door so she can go into church and at least pretend that she's been up early and she's been setting things up. So she's not going to skip one complete thing. She's not going to skip preparing things for breakfast, but she will definitely cut corners and forget an item or two, or she'll surface clean something and not really get it clean all the way, just so it looks like she's done more than she actually has.
Yeah, and by the time you go into the hall proper where the church is being set up, Luckily, you see that Sister Michael has started doing something, and perhaps one of the other parishioners was helping her, but you're looking around for the things that you usually do, like, putting out the missals or the Bibles at the end of certain rows in case people wanted to read or follow along in the Latin, or make sure that the candles were lit. You're noticing a lot of this stuff was done already, and you still don't know what time it is, but it almost seems like Sister Michael has it under control. Her and this other person helping.
I would think that Margaret, in a way, because the church has a certain routine for every day, for her, she'd be able to tell time based on what part of the setup was happening, or what type of mass was being conducted. So that will help her to orient a bit to time and place. She feels immediately guilty when she sees that for the millionth time in her life, Sister Michael has basically had to fill in for her, and she already knows that at the end of the day she's going to get that look from Sister Michael that just says, honestly, honestly, again. But she knows that no matter how many times she apologizes, she can definitely count on her to pick up her own slack. And she does feel guilty, though, because she has apologized for this so many times. And yet, for situations that she feels are very much so out of her control, the enemy is just really targeting her and making her slip up. So it's not her fault. She's really trying her best. But, situations out of her control are just making it difficult for her to complete her tasks.
Sister Michael is just there smiling at you like her typical stuff, or typical kind of outlook, like before she was ill on the trail. It almost seems like she's made a full recovery at this point, and she's just smiling like she did at the same time that she kind of caught you when you were thinking about Bjorn and he came and talked. That sort of same shared look that you had earlier. And she says, "Oh, don't worry about everything, sister. We only had one parishioner today, so Father Noss took confession and light one today."
I promise you, I will make it up to you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm waking up absolutely before the crack of dawn. You won't even hear a rooster. You'll hear me in here. I will set everything up so you can sleep in. I will have this handled. Thank you again, but I will repay you.
"I'm sure you will." And she kind of gives you that same smile, like, sure. But she comes back, "Sister, we're a team. You don't owe me anything. You saved my life on the trail."
That wasn't me. That was thanks to the actions of Father Noss and Bjorn riding out and getting us all that food. And at the mention of Bjorn, he kind of comes back into her mind, and he's, riding valiantly on his horse, bringing food supplies. But then it's immediately tarnished by the idea of him undressing Lavender and like biting her on the chest. And it kind of makes her feel a little sick to her stomach. And she says, you don't owe me anything. You are the person that is closest to me, even closer than Father Noss himself. I would do anything for you, Sister Michael.
Wonderful. Then you will indulge me then if I ask you to meet me later today, maybe this afternoon?
Of course. Where shall I meet you?
I mean, I don't have much else to do. Well, we'll meet here later.
Of course. You know where I am. If not, I'll come find you. And whatever you need, I will certainly handle with you.
And she nods and kind of bows her head to leave. And you're left with this single parishioner who's just staring at you, kind of like mouth agape, as the parishioner is taking in how you look and who you are. And you recognize her immediately as the girl last night.
Lavender or Carol?
Oh, definitely Lavender.
With that, she feels a huge blush that takes over her face, and under her habit, it takes over her chest. And she smiles politely at Lavender and just kind of checks around herself, does a good old double take, and then brings her fingers to her lips as if to say, "Shh, it's our secret." She'll wink at her and kind of nudge her head as if saying, "Follow me," so she can lead her to her tent.
She nods and follows along, and you bring her to the back room that you share with Sister Michael, though she's not here at the moment.
Hello, Lavender. I'm so sorry. I slept in. I was up really late, and well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause you to wait. I hope you got here okay. No problems, right?
No problems whatsoever. It's a lovely place that you folk have set up over here, and the older priest was able to take my confession. I haven't been able to do that in quite some time, so I'm thankful. And as part of my penance, I helped tidy up a little bit.
Sister Margaret feels an immense relief. She feels completely hopeful. Her heart is full that she managed to get Lavender in here to, cleanse her soul. And it almost brings a tear to her eye. She's just so happy. She knows that she's going to go back to the life of sin, but she believes it's purely out of need and not by choice. So she nods and says, Father Nas is absolutely wonderful. And so is Sister Michael. She is amazing. Honestly, the nicest person I know. You're always safe here. If there's anything you need, between the three of us, we can always help you. So as she's talking to her, she's digging through her stuff. She realizes now that she left her rosary behind. So she kind of pushes it aside after giving it a kiss. And she holds, the box where she's got her supplies. And once she opens it, in a bit of parchment, she has welled up this very, very thick salve that's kind of like the consistency of petroleum jelly. And she says, this is what I managed to get for you. It should last you about a fortnight if you can manage to stretch it out, applying it 2 times a day. It shouldn't take you that long to heal, but from what I recall last night, that wound seemed really, really deep. And part of her really wants to ask again, how do you not remember getting this? But she doesn't want to intimidate her. She doesn't want to kind of, get her to feel she's being interrogated. So she opens her hand as she uncovers the salve and, kind of nods at her and says, would you mind showing me again just so I can apply it and show you how to apply it?
Oh, of course. And she just, without any ceremony, just removes the top part of her dress and exposes her breast, holding it for you. She seems a lot less timid than she did this time, almost like now that her secret's with you, she could kind of trust you, and this is a medical thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And she just is very open with what sort of injuries she's received.
Margaret takes a look at the wound again, and she is taking care to really memorize everything about it because she has every intention of looking back through her diaries. She would have kept something like that during the war where she outlines how to treat different types of injuries. And she would have had some kind of, mediocre sketches of just to tell herself how things look, what to look out for. And she's dead set on finding something that matches this wound because she doesn't believe a human could have done it. Maybe it was, an animal of some sort. And if it's an animal, obviously other women or other men in the area could have gotten attacked by it. So she's keeping that in mind. She's taking care to mentally document what she's seeing as she very gingerly applies this salve and says, I used a little bit of powder that I had just to keep moisture off my face. It's not an exact match because I'm extremely fair, but it does cover up a lot of the red. Now, there's 2 bits of the salve. There's a clear part that I want you to put immediately on the injury, and the bit with the colorant you put on top. You don't want to get the colorant immediately inside the injury, just to keep it clean. And if at all possible, put it on after you have cleansed yourself. Try to keep the area dry and try not to rub it too much. I know it's a little difficult given your line of work, but the less that it gets touched, the more you'll be likely to not get infection. And with that, she takes another look. She color matches as best as she can, but the most it does is it removes some of the redness, but you can clearly tell that wound is still there, but it still looks good. It's not festering. It does look like she's doing a good job of keeping it clean. And she says, you did mention that a client did this. Is this a client that you get regularly?
Well, to be honest, I don't quite remember. And her speech patterns seem just like more alert right now. And she seems more confident in her answers. But it must have been a client, or, I mean, what else could it have been?
I don't know. I have noticed that there were not beagles, these little yappy dogs, the little sausagey looking ones up front by the door. Do you think maybe you were asleep and one of them could have gotten a hold of you?
Oh, heavens, no. Henry would never let Duchess and her litter anywhere near the back.
Huh. I have to admit to you, Lavender, I am at a complete loss as to what this is. And I've got to tell you, I have seen some pretty gnarly injuries from war. I've never seen anything that has a pattern like this. I'm worried it could be some sort of burrowing insect, some sort of I don't know, parasitic animal. I would say normally the only time I see these puncture wounds are if they're done by arachnids, but it's a bit big to be a spider, if I'm being quite honest.
Well, it looks like we got it all cleaned up and covered over. So I just rub it and, just until it goes away.
Yes, it looks like you're doing an excellent job of keeping things out of it. Don't touch it too much. Our fingers are quite dirty. So just keep it clean. Rub this on twice a day, preferably once in the morning and at night after you've cleaned up and you go to bed. Really give it a chance to sink in. In the evening, before bed, obviously don't put the parts that have the colorant in it, just to clear stuff. And you should see that it clears up. If you see that the redness starts to be more pigmented, if you notice that there are any lines like tiny veins coming out of it, if anything starts to seep out of it, I need you to please let me know.
I'm sorry. Yeah, of course I will. I'm just, to be perfectly honest, it's actually my bedtime now. So,
Oh, I don't mean to keep you. I know you've had a busy evening. And she kind of cringes a little on the inside about that. Yep, just do this. You should be fine. And if any of the girls need anything, you know where to find me.
absolutely. I'll be sure to send them their way. Thank you so much again, sister.
Absolutely happy to help. You enjoy your night, Lavender.
And she smiles and departs. You are able to, at some point, catch up with a lot of your day-to-day work, and you kind of rush through some of your own hygiene, but you do feel that you have a few hours to take care of any things you might want to before having to meet up with Sister Michael, if you'd like. Is there any daytime investigations you would like to do?
First thing that she's definitely going to do is she's going to sketch that wound while it's still fresh in her mind. And she's going to write characteristics that she can tell from it, that it looks like it was deep, that the girl didn't remember anything. So maybe it was an animal that used some sort of anesthetic like a bat in order to, bite without being seen. And that she should keep an eye in case other people have it. And after she's got her book all caught up, I think she's going to take a walk out, and I'm trying to think of where Margaret would investigate. She's already looked at the silver dollar, and she doesn't really trust many people in town. So maybe she'll go to Jerry's saloon tent. Again, the second place of sin. And see, this time she's going to go in her habit, just, under the idea that if she can go in truthfully, hopefully things will go smoother than they went last night. She's still very shook up by the way that Henry treated her. So she's going to go as herself this time and just going to go in and offer her services.
All right. And you, of course, remember Jerry's Saloon Tent was one of the possible leads that you got for that dreadful Buckman book that's been making the rounds. So, it doesn't take a whole lot of asking around to find out where it is. It's just along the river, actually, north of your camp a bit, on the eastern side of the river, right before the actual crossing of Missouri Crossing. It looked like a industrious man had set up a covered wagon and filled up as much liquor as you could carry and set it up right by the crossing. And despite not being the best establishment, it seems to be very well positioned.
As she walks approaching this place, she's keeping an eye out for the surroundings. She doesn't want to step into the same type of scenario that she stepped into last night. Now she feels she should be a little bit more prepared for what's going on. And hopefully she'll get a lot more respect as a nun than she did as a regular woman. So she's going to approach Jerry's tent, seeing all the alcohol and hoping no one's day drinking, because why would they do that? And she's going to approach it to see who she can find inside.
Yeah, you see, well, it's noon, and you see there is a man kind of passed out with a bottle next to him, and you see this other man kind of scurrying about, like rearranging bottles, and you see this other guy with a patch over his eye and a few missing teeth and some scarring on his face, who seems to be drinking some beer, but it's kind of like, because of the facial scarring, it kind of like drips out of his mouth and onto his beard a little bit. You're just kind of looking around. It's not very busy, but it seems that, it's doing fairly well as an establishment. Could you also make me a spot hidden, if you will?
53 out of 30. I don't know why spot hidden hates me so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hot day out. You could push it if you like, but otherwise just continue on.
You know what? I'm going to push the roll. Can you remind me how to do that again?
Basically, for pushing a roll, it's a spot hidden roll, so it's going to be kind of tough to think of something, but we would agree on, if you failed again, what even worse thing would happen to your character.
Well, I don't know what would happen. She's just kind of looking around the tent, right?
Yeah, just kind of like investigating what's there to be seen.
So a consequence could be that the owner catches her and accuses her of snooping or maybe stealing.
So I suppose you are dressed as a nun, though.
And nuns can't be shady. Have you met me?
All right. If you're happy with that consequence, you could try it again.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, for frig's sake. 84. I am a thieving nun.
Well, what you take from him, says the man who is found
Excuse
stacking.
me?
Yeah.
She turns around like completely flabbergasted. Take? I haven't taken anything. I've only just arrived.
Well, someone took that shot, and it wasn't Pete, and it wasn't me.
Shot? Do you mean alcohol? Do you honestly think I didn't imbibe that?
He looks around and then kind of squares his eyes like, well, if you didn't take it, who did?
She looks around as if looking for someone to accuse, but then immediately remembers that's not the polite thing to do. So she was about to point at someone, and she kind of hides her hand, and she says, well, I certainly don't know, but it wasn't me. You're welcome to smell my breath.
Come here, then.
Her eyes kind of open up. She didn't think somebody would actually take her up on it, but she does walk over, and she opens her mouth and just goes,
and as you do that, he really quickly, almost like a snake striking out, plants a kiss right on your lips.
oh, wow. Margaret is taken aback. She kind of clutches her chest and she goes, excuse me, don't you know I'm a woman of God?
Sure, yeah, we all are. Ain't that right, Pete? Yarr, says the man who is now laughing as alcohol is pouring out of his facial scarring.
She looks at Pete and is trying not to judge him, but deep down she's disturbed and very disgusted by how sloppy this man looks. And she doesn't know what to do. She's completely red. She's stuttering. She's never been kissed. And by all people, this stranger whose name she doesn't even know, she just looks like she's on the verge of tears. She says, sir, I can't believe what you've just done. That is disgusting. I am a woman of God. I am married to Jesus.
Didn't taste like it. All right. What can I do you for? And he sets down a glass and starts filling it, pushes it closer to you.
She looks at the glass and she kind of shoves it back at him. As I've said, I don't drink. And she kind of fans herself a little. Now she's feeling very warm inside her habit. And she looks at the man and says, my name is Margaret. I'm here with the caravan with Father Nas, Sister Michael. Our church offers services just by the river, southwest. You may have heard of us. So she kind of is trying to establish that, she's someone to be respected. And she said, I had actually been told to come here by an acquaintance. Told me that perhaps there's an item here that I'm looking for that someone here could be in possession of. It's a book by a gentleman named, and she takes a second to think of it, Buckman something or other.
The man behind the, let's call it a bar of the wagon, kind of like looks at you and then looks at Pete, and you follow his eyes and you see that there's his mug of beer is kind of like resting on this kind of worn red like hardback book that's on the bar, I guess, of it. And then Pete looks up and kind of follows your eyes and then kind of smiles, but it's even weirder because his face is kind of like really scarred, and when he smiles, even more beer kind of just dripples out over his face. He's like, well, lucky for me, I just bought it off Jerry.
She looks absolutely shocked and a little bit dismayed that of all the people on this planet, it would be this, what looks to be a pirate, who has the book that she needs. And she kind of follows the gazes of the men, and she realizes that, to her horror, there's a beer stein on top of what she assumes to be the book in question. So she looks at Pete and nods very carefully and slowly as if to say, right. And she says, I see you're a man who has taste in literature?
Well, I am by far the richest man in town, and if my that old man could see me now actually owning books, I show him a thing or two. And you're kind of getting the feeling that like he's probably just like wanted to own it as like a status thing.
Oh yeah, she has absolutely no doubt that this man has never read a book in his life. So she tries to seem polite as she says, I see. I had no idea that you were such a well-off man. And she is internally cringing at saying that and says, in fact, I think I recall seeing you by the river. Was that not you? You were sifting through something. Am I right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of riches in these rivers, enough to attract an old pirate like me.
Pirate. And she looks shocked again. Like her eyebrows are virtually like leaving her forehead at this point. And she says, I had no idea. I had heard of you vaguely. Old Pirate Pete, is that right?
Yar, that'd be me.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, sir. And to her dismay, she reaches out her hand for him to kiss it.
Are you trying to charm him? It seems like.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you like to roll charm?
Now, my charm is not like a natural charm. I've got psychology. I've got persuade.
So are you
charm? I just have 5.
If you want to change your tact a little bit before you roll, all that. But basically, this is you seem like you're trying to butter him up. So if you want to use like persuade, and put forth an argument, you're gonna have to keep going with your conversation with this lovely specimen of a man.
Yeah, I think she's going to introduce herself to him, and then she's going to ask to see if she can borrow this magnificent book that he just purchased.
So yeah, you give him your hand to kiss, and like he kisses it, and then it's kind of just like with the pat of his thumb, he's still kind of just rubbing the back of your hand with it, and like probably making you a little uncomfortable. But as you continue to talk, he hasn't just quite let your hand go yet.
She's allowing it for the time being only because she can pull it away at any time, and she thinks it'll maybe help her cause. But she's definitely going to have to do some confession to Sister Michael after all this. And eventually own up to Father Nas, which she's dreading doing. She's done a lot that she's not supposed to in the past 16 hours. So she smiles at Pirate Pete and says, well, since it seems that you're the one that's acquired the book in question, I suppose you're the man I'm looking for now, isn't that right? I was wondering, as I said previously, an acquaintance of mine had told me that if I came into the settlement, I should seek out this book, that it had some interesting passages. What your interest in it? Have you gotten to read it yet, perhaps?
Of course. And you could definitely tell he's lying. He probably has never read a book in his life. But then he kind of looks up, he's like, what are you going to do with it?
Oh, I'm not going to do anything. Of course, that's your property. I was just wondering if I could have a look through it, only because this acquaintance of mine brought it up to my attention, and I'd be sort of embarrassed to go back to them and say I couldn't find it. But perhaps if I do know a bit of medicine, and I do have some tea from my travels. Is there something that I could trade, not for the book, but perhaps just for a little bit of time to read it? Of course, in your presence, if that's what you need. I would never dream of, taking it or anything like that. But I am quite interested in what's inside.
Now would be a good time for persuade.
I hate this game. I hate this game so much. I got a 52 out of 30.
So he looks at you, he's like, you want to spend time with me and read it?
Oh, that sends all sorts of red flags through her mind. And she says, well.
It was your idea.
Well, I mean, yeah. She says, well, what I meant to that, and I do, of course, want to be quite clear as a woman of God, that I would certainly love to read it with you around, perhaps since you're by the river near me, while you sift through the waters, I could sit on the bank and read it, obviously in your presence, so no funny business is going about.
Might so. He looks and he starts stroking his beard, and you're seeing even more water droplets, which are definitely not water, are just dropping off of it and just landing on the book, just staining the cover while he's doing this. He's
God.
Yeah. So, well, I suppose I could let you borrow it, but it only seems fair that everyone here is equal.
Of course. Would you like to borrow one of my Bibles?
Well, I'm just saying that Jerry got something that old Pirate Pete didn't get.
Oh my God. Margaret is absolutely mortified by the suggestion of what she thinks Pete is trying to say. And she pretends like she doesn't understand. She shakes her head and says, I'm afraid I don't follow. There are many things I could offer you. We've got church services. We've got a Bible. I've got some goods that I've snuck into my tent, food and tea. She clarifies that real quick. Is that something I can interest you in?
Then you notice that the man with his head just on the bar next to, who hasn't said a word the entire time, just groans and says, oh, just kiss the man already and he'll give you the book. Ugh, just anything to get him to stop talking about it.
Oh my God. If this were D&D, I would have to check my constitution. Wow, that puts her in a pickle, because number one, kissing is a sin. Number two, she's already committed so many sins. And number three, my God, this man is filthy. There's probably something living on his facial hair.
And number four, how many rolls have you failed?
I know I'm not entirely confident I can survive this. Is there anything I can roll to kind of talk him out of trying to kiss me? Offer him something else, persuade, psychology?
I suppose I'd let you roll fast talk or psychology to kind of allude that maybe if he plays his cards right at a later date.
Okay, I'm going to try
and then just kind of just string him along until you finish the thing.
Oh my God, please, 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 dice gods. Yes, yes, a 4 out of 30.
Well, first off, check your skill. Second off, the man who's just kind of passed out in agony, just kind of like collapses on a heap on the floor, and then old Pirate Pete just says, "Oh, it doesn't have to be now. I can clean myself up, and make it presentable to a lady, bet you, and you probably need to review it a little bit before we can get to reading it. I understand that you well-read folks like to have practice." So, and then he basically goes into a whole, like, he's trying to basically build up the moment in his head and just try to give you everything you need to prepare for it. And he slides the book over to you and he says, Jerry, hold my tab. I gotta take a bath.
Sister Margaret was praying in her head to God to just spare her from this horrible kiss. And she feels just a wave of relief wash over her. She's going to say all the Hail Marys the second she gets back, confess all her sins, do community service, and assist Sister Michael in everything. The second she sees that book slide over, she is so excited. She touches it, and it's she can't believe she finally is getting somewhere. She feels that something's going on in this town, and this is a real first step as to getting something. So she smiles at Pete and says, "Oh, absolutely. Women do love a well-groomed man after all." And she doesn't want to promise him the kiss because that would be lying. And at this point, God just did her a favor. She doesn't want to kind of shit on that right away. So she says, "Yes, absolutely. Women do love a finely groomed, clean man. And I have absolutely no doubt that you clean up fantastically, Mr. Pete. I will take the book, and you already know where we are, the church, you know, my tent. I do have an appointment with somebody in the church, but you know where to find me. Whenever you are ready, I will be ready to return the book to you."
Old Pirate Pete departs very quickly to go get ready. And can you make me one last spot hidden roll?
Hell yeah, 28 out of 30.
As you're leaving the area, you kind of notice that there's a kind of like, sort of like a junk heap near the river by the crossing. And just one thing on there catches your eye. It appears to be some sort of like a transport wagon, but it appears to, not have any wheels on it. And it looks like it's been like quite disused a little bit and beat up. And you notice that the words Wells Fargo are written on it.
Oh, and this makes her think of Gregory's interest in the Wells Fargo caravan as they were first pulling into the settlement. So she's going to make a mental note of that so that next time that she speaks to Gregory, she'll bring it up in conversation to see if he has any interest in pursuing that further.
If you like the style and feel of Missouri Crossing, then you'll like Deluded. Set in 1848, Deluded follows a coterie who have set themselves to find out who is behind a mysterious tonic that plagues the kindred society of Victorian England.